Okay, so I've just going to show you how to do some proper paper mache that's going to enable you to reinforce any additions that you've made to the mask, pre-made mask. So what I've done so far is I've used cereal box card, just cut them into simple shapes based upon my design. And I've used some scrunched up newspaper, sort of like torn lengths of newspaper sort of scrunched together. And all this has been attached with bits of masking tape. Trying not to be too greedy with the masking tape because that's expensive and it's only ever really a temporary fix. But what I need to do now, I need to make this so that it's never going to fall off. So I'm going to do some paper mache. So what I've got is I've got PVA glue and a chunky brush, and I've already torn down some newspaper, so quite small pieces, so it's easy and manageable to work with. So what I need to do is I need to prioritise where things are attached, so like this bit here where it attaches onto the mask. So these are the bits I need to paint with glue. Thinly, evenly, going into the little creases and folds, and so making sure I'm covering an area that's larger than the bit of newspaper I'm going to place over this in a minute. This first bit, then I'm going to place that onto it, and I'll press down with the brush. So I want it to follow the form as accurately as possible. Okay, so next bit, glue over the area that I intend to cover with the newspaper, plus a bit more. So I'm just going to turn that round and paint around that side. So we'll place that over that section, and then with the brush kind of dab it to follow the form, because I don't want to detract from the forms that I've introduced to this mask through a bad job of paper macheing. So I might even tear that a bit smaller so that I can create a tab, because this bit I need to make sure that that is properly attached. There's a little bit there I didn't put glue, so I'm just going to put that in and then stick that bit down. So what I want to do is I want to aim to get all these areas where you've got the masking tape covered. They are priority. Okay, so newspaper going over that glued area, dabbing it down. So whenever you are doing paper mache, this is at its most vulnerable point because it is damp and the glue hasn't set. When the glue has set, it will be really strong. For just paper and glue, it will be very strong. It's quite difficult to get to. So you can't just do this really quickly. You have to be mindful as you're doing this. It requires patience. crafting skills. Turning it round, going into that bit there before I put that newspaper over that section. So pressing that into there with a brush, trying to follow as accurately as possible. I'm not worrying about going over the eye holes of this mask. I can always push a pencil through later on. So for that bit, I'm just going to paste right over. Because part of the brief is that these masks would be wearable, because there's potential to do like a really cool like photo shoot wearing these masks. So it'd be quite nice if they had that practicality and wearability about them. And so paper mache would be brilliant for that, because it's lightweight and it will be durable. It's not going to fall apart. If it was just that masking tape, I wouldn't hold out much hope for it lasting in the form that I wanted it to be for long. So you really could not do this with a single sheet of newspaper. That would be unreasonable to expect that to be achievable. So even though I pre-tore these bits smaller, I'm finding that I'm tearing them smaller still. You could be the other way and work with two smaller pieces as well. Sometimes I've seen people using tiny bits, and I'm like, well, you know, we haven't got all year to do this, and you know, I'm not making it smaller just for the sake of it. It is so that I can do a good and accurate job. So I think I've said what I need to say about this, so I'm just going to pause the video and then I will do a speed up so that you can watch it through to completion. Okay, so I've done most of the reinforcing I've needed to do with the paper mache. You know, it looks still a bit messy at the minute, but when it's dry I might just need to do a little bit of touching up with this just to get it how I want it to look. But once that's dry, none of that's going to fall off now. It's not relying on the masking tape anymore to hold it together. While doing this, I've decided I want this bit to come forward a bit more. So I can use some of this just scrunched up I can dab under there and just dab some glue on there. I've got quite gluey fingers now, but I'm not really too worried. Just do it like that. I might even paint it on the newspaper, then scrunch it. So that's just kind of like holding that up a bit more, and I'm dabbing it on so much that will be really super solid when that dries. Now just a little bit about, like, you can see how much glue's on my fingers. It doesn't really worry me, but some of you that might kind of play on your mind a bit more, and you might be tempted to go and wash your hands. I would try and avoid that. The best thing to do is to, with the warmth of your hands, you rub your hands really tightly together. You'll get some friction, and that will make some warmth, but it also means that it just kind of comes together. So you do it like that. That's without the water, because if you keep washing your hands, you're going to waste half of the lesson. So actually, I've got my hands cleaned enough to continue doing more paper mache without everything sticking to them. So I'm going to stop recording now. I'm probably done with that for when that's dry, and then I can review that mask later on and work on to the next stage.